We're all set. Okay, excellent. Special meeting today so that we can hear from our friends at Deloitte with the strategic plan. Just to do a quick roll call at City Hall, we have Travis, Nick, Richard, Lawrence, Dawn, Tracy, Jeff, and then for the city, Alana. Joining online is myself for the board, Kevin and Loveleen, and then Tara is manning our controls for the city. And we are welcoming today Clark and Darcy from Deloitte to bring forward the strategic plan that we've been working on. Did anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest towards the strategic plan today? No. All right, we should be good to go. Clark, Darcy, welcome. We're really excited to hear your presentation today. And right now, I'll turn it over to Travis for a bit of an introduction.
Thanks, Beverly. So I think it's obvious why we're all here. After several months, we finally got what is hopefully the final draft of the Deloitte plan that we worked on, the strategic plan, business development and traction plan. Clark and Darcy are going to run through a presentation that they've provided, which will be a summary of the plan. It'll provide an opportunity for everybody on the board to ask any questions that you may have. You'll still have the opportunity to go through the draft plan that was sent out yesterday. And if you have any feedback, send it through email within a week. Like ideally, we'd like to finalize this next week. So I'm going to turn it over to Clark to start. And he's going to run through the plan. And if you have any questions, feel free to interject at any time.
Okay. Thank you, Travis. It's a great pleasure to be here today with Darcy and myself, who are representing Deloitte, and happy to do a summary of the action plan and get your thoughts. So we've been working on this project with Travis and Alana over the last few months, and the executive summary of the report basically gives you an overall view of the plan and outlines some of the strategic priorities. But what we'll do through the process of our presentation, which we hope to keep down to about a half an hour or so we can leave time for questions and comments and that type of thing, is to give you kind of an overview of what we observed, talk about how we went about the engagement and getting the feedback from the industry and from other stakeholders, and then get into the action plan as well as the business development plan as well. So just overall, one of the things we learned about the tourism performance of Sault Ste. Marie was that they have a lot of excellent strengths happening and lots of great data that we were able to pull together on Sault Ste. Marie. I think one of the key things was noting through our visitor spending analysis the $130 million spend for the tourism industry, which was an excellent amount, and the fact that it's up compared to 2019 was an excellent observation as well. These were just debit and credit purchases in Sault Ste. Marie, so additional cash and other types of spending weren't included. I think also being able to spending analysis using actual credit and debit card addresses, being able to pinpoint exactly where visitors are coming from, like Toronto and Thunder Bay and Ottawa, but also that we're seeing new spending between 2019 and 2022 from some other Southern Ontario origin cities like Hamilton and Kitchener. We also noted, obviously, that there's some challenges and hurdles that need to be addressed, but we're hoping that through this strategy we can help work on those. So the actual methodology of the project was basically just doing that research, engaging the industry through a variety of ways, interviews, surveys, etc., and then working on the various observations that we saw, working with Travis and Alana to really dig into those observations and to come up with the future directions that you see in the strategy. So that was the methodology that we used for the whole project. I think it's important to touch on a few of the key trends in tourism that are affecting communities around the world, but we decided to kind of dig into the ones that were specific to Sault Ste. Marie. And I'll touch on a few here about, frictionless travel around streamlining the experience, focus on domestic travel. So there's a lot of pent up demand in the domestic source of tourists, but also just people wanting to observe that kind of sustainable tourism experience, lightening their carbon footprint, and also, the community, the place, the city being important as well in trends. It's not just about the experience anymore, it's about sort of the destination. Sault Ste. Marie is also well positioned around the Indigenous connection, and that's something that's very important to international travelers. Your connection to outdoor recreation is important, and is in line with the brand that Destination Canada is promoting around the world. Also, just the increase in growth in health and wellness that's important in tourism, and also the high value visitor, the affluent travel boom. So trying to focus on experiences that may be attractive to those high value guests. There's also a certain amount of post-COVID pent-up demand for folks who are in the retirement phase. So, responding wherever possible to what they might want in terms of experiences, and also, remote work being a trend as well, and that wherever possible, destinations can leverage that opportunity. Part of our project too was to do to understand the actual tourism sector within Sault Ste. Marie, really drill down into each of the various subsectors, and to come up with some potential gaps that may be in the industry that we can build upon. And so I won't go into each of these examples in great detail. They're very much developed out in the report. But for each of the sectors, you can see some ideas around what could be developed further. And I'll pick on food and beverage as an example. I know that we did notice some issues around hours of operation and potentially other types of culinary experiences that could be developed further. And although we know that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie itself isn't in charge of culinary and dining on the ground, you have a great amount of influence among small businesses and entrepreneurs. And if you can identify some of these gaps and allow entrepreneurs to step up and fill them, then that would be excellent for the overall experience in Sault Ste. Marie. I think in terms of under entertainment and recreation, just trying to build upon that, urban outdoor adventure experience and brand as much as possible, and reminding ourselves that there are different opportunities in that sector around off-season events, winter experiences, and wherever possible, developing out opportunities for entrepreneurs and outfitters to move into that market and to try to respond to a lot of interest in outdoor recreation in the tourism sector at the moment. Part of what we do at Deloitte is, do our version of a SWOT analysis. We really like to, pare down into various categories the strengths and opportunities that are there in Sault Ste. Marie, but also acknowledge any kind of risks and results desired results that the industry and the community wants. I'll maybe touch on a couple things in each of these sections, not go into great detail. Sault Ste. Marie definitely has that outdoor adventure infrastructure down pat as an excellent strength. The trail infrastructure is fantastic. The amount of investment that you've put into that type of infrastructure is, the envy of many other communities. So that's a great strength, and certainly can help build upon, future experiences. In terms of some of the opportunities, there's all sorts of areas around expanding out those business supports that may be available, to entrepreneurs in the tourism sector. And your tourism development fund is well positioned to help with that, be it through, product development, marketing, workshops, whatever it may be, to help increase the capacity of your businesses to respond to these experiences. I think also opportunities exist, from the American side of the border, and certainly later on when we talk about, target markets. There was an incredible amount of research done through this project, pinpointing the interests and the motivations of our friends in the border states. And so there are, again, more opportunities to pursue Ste. Marie there. Some of the aspirations that we heard, and I like the fact that we've kind of been able to boil them down to some major points here. Just, the whole idea of aspiring to be, the mountain biking capital, the fact that, there's this interest in having more major events more frequently, and also improving and activating, your waterfront and your downtown. Obviously, those are strategic priorities you've already established, but there continues to be an interest within the sector to respond to those. Some of the risks that we want to just acknowledge, that their potential weaknesses, that can also be potential opportunities. So things like, industrial sites in the waterfront. Obviously, it's not something you can immediately change, but just being aware of those, the competition just across the border, maybe potentially inconsistent hours of operation, those types of things that need to be kind of looked at in terms of addressing the aspirations. And then desired results. How do we know we are succeeding? What we heard through the process was this idea around seeing more connected downtown and waterfront areas, leveraging those trails and getting them connected as much as possible to other experiences. The idea, again, of seeing some sort of major tourism event in every season. So that was something that was expressed quite frequently. And again, just focusing into that priority area of outdoor adventure, increasing those tourism product offerings as much as possible. So again, it was fairly clear from the very moment we started out on this project that Sault Ste. Marie has these 3 strategic priority areas. So you wanted to make sure that as we developed out your action plan and your business development plan, that we addressed these, and we definitely made sure that we centered everything around them as we move forward. And I'm hoping you can see that as we move through the next section. One of the, again, as I mentioned earlier, one of the really interesting parts of this project was being able to do that customer profiling, going out and surveying, potential visitors in various states, and as well as Ontario, and being able to break those market segments down into a number of areas so you can better understand the tourist and what they're looking for. And so we were able to narrow them down into the following sectors. So one of the key ones, obviously, since you are focusing on outdoor adventure, are those experiential adventurers, those people that really enjoy the outdoor activities, and they often will book online to get that experience. They're also very interested in kind of cultural events as well. So this fits well within the idea of having more events and potentially more culinary experiences. Again, another visitor segment being the fishing and sports enthusiasts. These are the more focused visitors around specific activities like fishing, like hunting and paddling and that type of thing. And often they're shorter term visitor segment. They may not be in the area as long. They may just be in for a day trip or an overnight. And they tend to be more male in most cases. the third visitor segment that we were able to pull out from was those cultural consumers. And this is where there's a lot of interest in the kind of entertainment, culinary side of the city, any kind of downtown experiences and arts and music. These are the folks that are really interested in that type of experience. So that's another segment. This again has that slightly higher representation among women and women who are kind of mature working age. And so the good thing about this segment is that their kind of affluence is something that you can kind of depend upon. So it's a good market to focus on. And then also the final visitor segment that we were able to identify, those action seekers. These are the real hardcore outdoor sports folks, and they tend to stay longer in the area. Visit Sault Ste. Marie, actually came across a few of these mountain bikers in her time she spent there. So certainly was able to witness them and talk to them up front. And so that's definitely another visitor segment. And the good thing is that all of these profiled visitor markets revolve around really well what Sault Ste. Marie wants to put forward as its brand. So as we move on now to kind of developing out your action plan, we just want to remind ourselves of what those priority areas were: the sport, tourism, festivals, and events, that outdoor adventure market, as well as activating some more experiences in the downtown and the waterfront. And so we built the action plan around those. And so there are kind of four objectives within the action plan. And so I'm going to walk through them one by one. But from a high level, those key objectives are enhancing that product and experience development, also connecting the downtown and the waterfront experience. The third one being having a major event in each season. And finally, the fourth one, using those visitor profiles that we talked about to inform marketing and tourism development decisions. There we go. And so the first one around enhancing product and experience development. This is, again, as we mentioned earlier, this is where that tourism development fund is very important to being able to provide supports for your tourism operators and being there for them so that they can learn, they can experiment, they can come up with the types of experiences that the visitor will want, and also being able to continue to provide that supportive infrastructure. You've got that trail system, but there may be other types of infrastructure that you may want to build out to support that type of experience. And so in the actual plan, we go into a lot of great detail in terms of some actions around each of those goals. And I'm not going to read them all off here, but certainly there's some ideas here that we've gone back and forth with staff about, pulling in from best practices that we've seen in other communities, and also trying to position Sault Ste. Marie as a leader in many cases here, not just a follower, but coming up with some new ways of working within the city, working with your tourism partners, and in the surrounding area to build out that product and experience. And I will say at this point too that I really admire the direction that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie has taken. Often DMOs get very caught up in just pure marketing, and the idea of enhancing the product is going to be a great investment for your community and your destination down the road. The fact that you're constantly monitoring the quality of your destination and the various aspects of it and trying to make it better is going to certainly help you over the long haul. The second objective around connecting the downtown and the waterfront experience, again, these are key goals around just developing that space, the place that Sault Ste. Marie has, and wherever possible, adding to it and augmenting what is already there. And again, there's a number of actions that are outlined in the plan around that. And I'd say that this again is an area that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie alone can't do. You've got to have other partners around the table to help you with this, because changing the nature of the places within the city isn't a one organization job. It's going to take some collaboration with others, and so we do outline in a number of the actions some ideas around how you can work with others and have others step up and help with connecting these experiences, which is incredibly important. One of the things that we often hear when we work with Destination Canada and other senior levels of government is the importance of connectivity and access. And so being able to ensure that travelers can move around easily and see the connection between the different experiences is going to be another great investment for your city. The third objective, again, leverages one of your strategic priorities around events and festivals. So having a major event in each season is the key objective here. And again, the idea around incorporating, sport tourism into this, having events coordinator resources, also linking other types of infrastructure, be it recreation facilities within the city to this is important. So this objective is very much aimed at focusing in on that event and festival side, but events from the point of view of potential tournaments and that type of thing as well. So again, lots of different actions here. The idea that you can develop a network of organizations and individuals who may want to work on this. I think the one slight risk in this area is making sure that you continue to, acknowledge the important role of volunteers in event organization and coordination. So that'll be something that will need to be kind of monitored. But many other communities and cities have great examples that we've included in the report that Sault Ste. Marie can, as we say, use that R&D, that rob and duplicate, to hopefully help augment the events that you may want to put on. And then in terms of the final objective around using those visitor profiles, again, Tourism Sault Ste. Marie is definitely leading the charge here in terms of understanding your markets, something that many DMOs don't, frankly, even bother to look at. You've really dug into this through this project to understand your visitor profiles and really see how they learn or how they become aware of potential travel opportunities. Understanding these segments is very important to help your tourism operators to respond to them, but also to find the best ways to tell the stories that are going to inspire these visitors to want to come and visit. So from the perspective of developing the tourism product experiences right through to marketing is being helped here by understanding these visitor profiles. And so again, for this objective, a number of actions that are outlined here around workshops for tourism operators so they understand the market segments better, as well as just how do we support the infrastructure for the different types of visitor profiles. And I think of the active visitors, for example, are likely more demanding about the trails, those mountain bikers. So understanding what they're looking for and responding to it is an important action as well. So that gives you an idea of the four objectives within the action plan that we've identified. And so part of the objective of the overall project was to again build out this business development attraction plan. And again, this is another innovative aspect of this project that we certainly enjoyed working with you on. In this case here, what we're trying to do is really understand the not only the marketing role of a DMO, but also that product development side, and working with the industry and coming up with some suggestions and recommendations. And again, just a reminder about the priorities of a destination marketing organization. Often DMOs, as I mentioned before, see the first item on this list and then they stop. But we all know that there are very important other priorities like research and intelligence. Knowing your market, knowing your operators, managing your brand, incredibly important. Also, just developing the destination and the products within it, and then that community relations side. And I think it's important to note that when you build out that infrastructure, that is also something that your residents enjoy, that's a great way to have community relations. So just a reminder around those priorities, and we're really happy to see how Tourism Sault Ste. Marie has matured to a point where you're responding to all of these. In terms of that destination and product development, there are, those two areas that are important to tourism. And the first one being those destination drivers. We have to remember that there are, in the world of planning a trip, a visitor is thinking about that core reason why they're going somewhere. And there's usually, in the case of Sault Ste. Marie, we've got the outdoor experiences, those cultural ones, and those, as well as those other types of experiences that attract them to the destination. And then once they're there, there's that kind of infrastructure and enhanced type of product that helps to make their trip a success. But we really want to dive into those assets for sure. And so when you talk about building out some of those destination drivers, we just wanted to throw out a few examples of where this may be leading in terms of business attraction. The one excellent thing that we noticed about Sault Ste. Marie is that you've got an excellent relationship with your neighbor across the border, and ensuring that there's a way that you can leverage that relationship as opposed to ignore it is very important. So we throw up this example here of the map, the Greenways map for Detroit and Windsor, which actually promotes, it attracts that type of market that is looking for that experience, and they don't care about borders. They just want to go somewhere where there's lots of opportunities for them to get that experience. So wherever possible, attracting cross-border visitation and collaboration with your neighbors across the border is very important. Two other areas that we want to touch on in terms of those destination drivers, these feed right into what's seen as important trends at the national and international level. Outdoor experiences, which is a no-brainer coming out of the pandemic. We all saw the importance of those outdoor experiences, and they're still very popular. So wherever possible, having Tourism Sault Ste. Marie encourage partnerships between operators, property owners, be they private or public property owners, to help find points where we can stage those outdoor experiences. So that again would help to drive traffic to your destination. And then thirdly, around Indigenous experiences. And it's important that when we talk about Indigenous experiences, that we ensure that the Indigenous organizations are at the lead of that conversation. So I think wherever possible, if Tourism Sault Ste. Marie can act as a catalyst, a facilitator, a connector to those organizations, to help build out those experiences, it will be again a great driver for potential business. And then on the other side of the trip enhancers, those things that visitors do or plan to do once they decide to go to a destination, and so certainly there's some recommendations around these as well. So I'll just briefly touch on them. You know, any kind of development of accommodations that have an outdoor element to them, and that can be as simple as you know, a fire pit on a hotel property, right up to, you know, viewing domes that focus on northern lights. So any way that you can expand the diversity and the product offering of accommodations is always, you know, a great enhancement. We mentioned culinary before, so I won't go into a lot of that, but having those culinary options for visitors, whether it's, you know, street food trucks, or outdoor harvest dinners, or some sort of maple syrup festival. It doesn't have to be a festival; it can just be an experience. Anything you can do to enhance culinary is always important. You mentioned connectivity earlier around transportation, not only transit, but also just bike rentals and other types of opportunities there. And then around recreation and entertainment, anytime you can add some additional types of adventures and experiences and respond to some of the aspirations of these visitors will be helpful. And there's a whole myriad of them, but I think the important thing to remember with those is to keep it authentic to your community, and, you know, don't try to build something that you're not. And then finally, travel services, just enhancing the service delivery around booking and you know, additional information in the market. And I mean, we did notice that some of the smaller businesses in Sault Ste. Marie aren't necessarily market ready yet with their online presence, and so ways to maybe support them to help get them to get more online, because many of those visitor profiles use online booking almost, you know, exclusively. But there may be other ways that travel services within your DMO or within the businesses around it can be augmented by technology. And we're seeing all sorts of you know, headlines and chatter about artificial intelligence. But, you know, there may be opportunities for you or operators to use these new tools. So I would say, wherever possible, you know, keep up to speed on what technology is doing and how it's has the potential to help tourism, while retaining that personal touch that you know, travelers really appreciate. So in a nutshell, that's the overview of the business development or business attraction plan portion of the report. And there's obviously many more details and actions and examples that are listed in the actual report itself. But we'd be happy to take any questions at this point. And thank you on behalf of our economic advisory team who worked on the report. Yeah, so happy to open the floor to any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Clark, for that update and that report. I think you guys really listened to some of the ideas and suggestions that came forward from the board when we had those preliminary discussions and that. I'll open it up to the team here and see, does anybody have questions or anything that they were looking for a little bit more insight for Clark or Darcy to answer for us here?
I have a question. Just from your research and maybe connections with other communities, how many visitors actually use city transit? Is it a large portion of tourists that get on buses, or is Sault Ste. Marie more of a driving destination?
That's a really good question. I don't know if we have an answer to that specifically, in terms of, you know, what share of visitors use public transit. I would say generally, you know, if you're pursuing a type of visitor that's typically from an urban origin community, a larger one specifically, that they're going to be definitely more interested in knowing about your transit system and how it operates. And that's just a general comment. And they often have very high expectations around it. So yeah, so I don't have any specific answer for you in terms of Sault Ste. Marie's transit system, but I would say it's highly important to keep that in mind in the future, for sure.
Thank you.
I've got a question. Is on your report, it said there was 6.5% growth from 2019 to 2022. Is that specific to Sault Ste. Marie, specific to tourism sector? Like, what is that number?
Yeah, so that comes from the visitor spending analysis that we prepared. And so in a nutshell, we asked Moneris to give us the actual data for debit and credit card transactions for those 2 years. And they were able to provide them to us in terms of the origin community. So we could identify what credit and debit cards came from another community, and then they were then spent. They use those to do transactions within businesses within Sault Ste. Marie. So we basically geofenced the city and then added up the transactions that happened from communities outside of Sault Ste. Marie. So it's actual data, and it's not like a survey. It's not a projection. It's an estimate based purely on someone who lives in somewhere else spending money in Sault Ste. Marie. And so I would say that the only caveat on comparing the 2 years is that in future we want to build in an inflationary calculation to it, because those were 2019 dollars compared to 2022 dollars. And so whatever inflation or price increase there was between those 2 years isn't accounted for in that increase. So that would be the only thing I would say you should keep in mind there.
Okay, so my second part of that question would be, if that 6.5 is for Sault Ste. Marie, what is it for Ontario? Do we have any idea whether there's growth or not growth over 2019?
Well, the interesting conundrum about visitor spending in Canada is that there is no regular reporting of actual visitor spending. There's surveys that are released, and there's economic impact data that's generated. So there isn't an actual number that I can say, let's pull off the shelf and compare it to Sault Ste. Marie. However, sorry.
Interrupt. Actually, what Richard's asking is under key trends, the 6.5 growth rate, which states twice the rate of overall tourism sector. So on page 6.
Sorry, let me just go back there.
My back way of saying you did a good job.
Oh, the health and well-being section. Okay, all right. So the 6.5% growth is in that's a key trend. Sorry, I was thinking it was overall visitor spending. So now I see. So the health and well-being sector that's an overall trend, which could be at the Canadian level. I mean, Darcy, maybe you can help me out here if you can quickly look into the report to see where that comes from. But that's a percentage growth rate that's specific to the health and well-being experiences. So I think what that's saying is that more and more visitors are looking for experiences that are good for their health and their well-being. So your spa experiences or your fitness and wellness, that type of thing. Sorry for confusing things on that.
Clark, just to clarify, I believe that would come from the Global Wellness Institute that provides a lot of data on that specific
Okay.
sector within tourism.
Thanks, Darcy. I hope that helps clarify.
I have, I guess, a question to go along with the tourism spending. I know that, and I don't remember which tax year it was, there was the travel benefit or travel staycation credit. Couldn't we pull that information to say like how well we did with that? And if it's something that we could use to say lobby our local member of parliament or MPP, whoever offered the trip, as a saying, you know, we saw a tremendous benefit from this. Maybe it's a policy that we can push for. And in another way to, I guess, promote ourselves in the tourism sector. Could that maybe be included in the final report?
Oh yeah, it's certainly the whole idea of advocacy is very important. Yeah, so working with your regional partners and provincial and national partners is very important too. So yeah, that's something that could, if it's not already in there, we could certainly include that as a potential action for sure.
I think, Clark, one of the aspects of that question was, is there a way to determine how many visitors use the tax travel in Sault Ste. Marie that you're aware of?
Sorry, that they use the which?
No, there was the, I think it was provincial tax credit for travel.
Oh, yes, okay.
And is there a way to determine how many of those were used for Sault Ste. Marie?
Yeah, that's, I would say that's probably a question of the provincial government. I'm not aware of any report that they've done about that or any kind of, debriefing or postmortem on that program, but that would be a good idea and definitely worthwhile advocating for. So I would suggest probably TIO might be the way to go to ask them to ask for that data if the province would release it. And as I said before, data on tourism in Ontario and Canada is pretty scant. So whatever we can get our hands on would be helpful, including that data. But it's not available right now, as far as I'm aware.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Did we have anything, Loveleen, Kevin, to weigh in?
I'll shoot another one over.
Okay.
Was there anything that struck you as low fruit or that Travis should get going on right away?
Sorry, any specific which?
Like low hanging fruit, like obvious things we need to get going on right now.
Well, I think in the action plan, there's a number of short-term items that are listed. So I would say probably, focusing in on the actions related to those would be a good first step. And I guess it's not only, what is low-hanging fruit, but also what's your capacity to influence it, right? So you want to make sure that it's something that that either Tourism Sault Ste. Marie or your board or your key partners could influence or could get working on right away. And like any strategic plan, you need to be monitoring where these are all going and whether they're moving ahead. So I would say look under those short-term categories and see what you can find. And I'm positive that Travis and his team know their priorities pretty well. So I'm sure they'll be trying their best to move things along.
Excellent. Thank you, Clark. Travis, what's our next step here?
So I think as of right now, we've got the report out to the board. We'll give everybody a week to review it, submit any comments you may have to Alana and I through email. We can circle back with Clark and Darcy on any of those items, and then ideally we finalize the report ASAP and we start implementing items from the action plan.
We'll bring a resolution to the November meeting.
Yeah. So, sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but we'll bring a resolution to the November meeting, you know, whereby the board would adopt the plan. I guess, direct staff to implement its findings.
Okay.
Our local plans to be in front of city council.
We're working on that right now. I've made a request. So.
And plans will produce or will present.
Deloitte would present. The awkward portion is due to the timing, we're now into the budgetary sessions. So it's a matter of them allocating time for us.
You'll keep us posted, Travis?
Yeah, I will know by next week.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions from around the table at the current time? This was the only thing that we had on today's special meeting agenda. We'll be recapping the minutes in that from last week's meeting in November. Okay, if we are good, Clark, Darcy, thank you very much for your thoughtfulness and consideration into this report, and for having listened to, you know, what the board was looking for and taking it and running with it. We appreciate your time on the project and today presenting.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, with that, I will call for someone to move to adjourn.
You've done.
Dawn, Jeff, and we're good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.